Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So, my name is Aemeyra, and I have here Farah. So, we're two friends. We just thought that we start this like podcasting just to share our thoughts
Mhm.
or unsolicited opinions on certain topics. But I think it would be beneficial. I think we got something to share, and I think it's
Yeah,
just to
I
normalize
think so
certain
too.
conversation. Is that right?
Yeah, we both like to kind of have quite deep conversations, and we both learn things from talking to each other. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think what we're going to talk about today would definitely be beneficial to some people, especially those who are looking for, someone, and people who are in marriage.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So yeah, we're going to talk about marriage today. That's the bigger title, but I think we can do this in multiple parts. So on in today's, I believe the focus is more on like, realization of how marriage is like, especially in the first 10 years of your marriage. Is it like how you fantasize it, or what's the reality is like actually? So I think we just want to share our own insights. Farah, do you want to talk a little bit about your marriage story?
Oh my God, where do I start? Okay, I would say in my own personal experience, the journey towards marriage for myself is has been quite pure, and textbook like, because I think I have a kind of like a journey with becoming a good Muslim when I was in
Mm-hmm.
high school. My mom passed away, and when in high school I was in like an usrah group. So
Mm-mm.
I've been quite aware of what I should do, I shouldn't do, dating, haram, those kind of things. So
Mm-mm.
I'm quite,
Yeah.
exposed to those things quite early on. So my
Mm-hmm.
kind of approach to relationships are very strict. So I'd say,
Mm-mm.
I don't have a boyfriend, but I remember like praying like every day when I was in high school, like, Ya Allah, please give me, send me the right person at the right time, and
Mm-hmm.
don't waste my time on people who's gonna waste my time. So things like
Yeah.
that. So when I met my husband, we kind of just started talking, like messaging each other when I was in college before going to the UK to further my studies. And then we separated for like 5 years because he was in Australia, I was in the UK. So we still kind of kept in
Mm-hmm.
touch, but very, very minimal. And then he came after we both finished our studies to kind of propose. So
Mm.
he was my first boyfriend, and no experience whatsoever in like having relationships.
Yeah.
Naive, I would say, insight into my marriage. Yeah.
Just to add on that, first boyfriend and only boyfriend,
Uh-huh.
to add to that purity
Oh
thing.
God. Very pure.
Yeah. So how long have you been married now?
Since 2016. So that would be past 8 years now. Oh
Do you
my God.
celebrate? Do you celebrate your anniversary? Why is like how many?
At the beginning, like everyone else, like, but now we kind of just, keep it simple. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
How about you,
yeah.
Imra? How about you?
So my story is a little bit long-winded, and
Mm.
so my journey to meet my husband and got married is like a long journey. But Alhamdulillah, it was like a blessing. After all, after thinking about it, like, oh, what, Alhamdulillah, this how I met him and how we end up together was like a dua come true. So obviously, I came from a more relaxed background. So there was no really like strict rules about, going out, seeing people and whatnot. So I have a little bit more like freedom to meet people and get to know people. Um, so but through that experience, I think I kind of like know what I want. Um, Although it was painful, it wasn't nice. It was not overall not a good experience, like, getting to know all these people.
Mm-hmm.
But then it helps me form like a list, like a realistic list of like the what kind of husband or what kind of partner I want to be with for the rest of my life. And when I met my husband,
Mm.
met online, it was not on dating apps, whatever. It was actually because I wanted to apply for a scholarship, and he happened to be in the same mailing list, and I had some struggle with the logins or attaching the documents. So
Wow.
so I just emailed everybody in the mailing list like, hey, have you guys got the same problem with me? Um, and then he was the only one who got back to me after like 2 weeks after the deadline was over. So that means I couldn't even apply
Okay.
for the scholarship. I missed the scholarship. And then,
Oh my
but
God,
then,
like clearly he
yeah.
replied
So I
for
was like,
a different reason. No, I'm just joking.
he just replied, oh, so sorry, like couldn't help. But yeah, that's it. And never mind. I missed it anyway. And so we kind of like just having been emailing each other back and forth for over 6 months, basically talking about life in the UK because he wanted to come over for his studies, and
Mhm.
I just helping out. I'm just that kind person who like, oh yeah, you need to have a list of this, what to bring from Malaysia. Being very helpful. And so yeah, after 6 months, I happened to be back in Malaysia for visa reason. Went back, and I thought like, you know what, we've been talking for 6 months, might as well just meet up, and we can just see how's your preparation is like. And we met in August, got engaged in September, and got married in December. And that's
Mashallah.
how our story. And
I
then
think that's
things just things just unfold after that, and then we got to know each other after marriage.
that's very beautiful. I mean, when I was listening to you telling your story, I can't help but think, obviously, we all go through different path, finding our jodoh. But
Mm,
if that's your jodoh, God will make it easy for some reason. As in, I know some
mm,
people might struggle a little bit, like might go
yeah.
ups and downs. But when it comes to meeting their jodoh, Allah just
Mm,
made it very, very straightforward. So,
exactly.
so yeah.
Did you ever have like when you were like getting to know each other in that 5 years period where you were long distance, have you
Mm.
ever doubt that, like, confidently think this is the one? Or
That's a
what was
very
the
good
feeling?
question.
What was the feeling like during that five
That's a very
years?
good question. I mean, the first time I met him, it was kind of like, oh, this guy's cute, why not? But I mean, just let's get to know this person first and see how he is. I think, despite being very naive, like no experience in relationship,
Mm-mm.
I have lots of friends who have been through like relationship turmoils and issues and lots of different kind of stories, and I
Mm-mm.
learn from these stories, and I got like I took points from listening to their
Mm-mm.
stories.
Yeah.
So when I first kind of like decided that, okay, let's focus on this boy,
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I think he's a good person.
Mm-mm.
I have a good feeling about this, but
Mm-mm.
throughout, and obviously, kind of like halfway through, before we flew to different continents,
Mm-mm.
I kind of made it, I've decided that, look, this might not work out.
Mm-mm.
I think I like this boy, and I think he likes me too. But we're gonna be away for 5 years. He might
Mm-mm.
find someone in Australia. I
Yeah.
mean, I am a loyal person, but then boys being boys, so I just kind of, yeah. If
Mm-mm.
he finds someone, I'm not gonna like take it too kind of much. But then obviously
Mm-mm.
that creates problem in our relationship because I was being too laid back. So it's really hard,
Mm-mm.
like when you're in a relationship, like there are
Mm-mm.
expectations. So I would say when we were kind of away, we kept it very minimal,
Okay.
like very
Yeah.
superficial, like hi, how are you, what are you doing, like
Yeah.
how's school, blah blah blah. But we never been like, hi sayang, no, we never
No.
been in that kind of shoes. So yeah, we kept it very professional, but then we know we both like each other, something
I
like that.
see.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
There's a lot of like boundary there then.
yes,
But then
indeed. So
was
that's
that you who
yeah.
placed that boundary? So if he was
I
more open to.
He was more open to some extent. I think looking back when we talk about those time, actually,
Mm,
he said to me like, that wasn't very nice what I did to him because I kind of put
mm-mm.
down a wall,
Yeah.
which is true to some extent. But I think
Mm-mm.
I kind of really try to look after myself, but then obviously at the expense of someone else, because I didn't want to let myself go completely if this boy
Yeah.
is not going to be the one for me. But then
Mm.
at the same time, that just shows lack of commitment from
Mm-mm.
my side, and it's not okay. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard, but here we
But
are.
why did you have that guard up so much? Because you didn't have any boyfriend before that to,
I
like be
that's
so guarded? Is it because of your upbringing? You think that you make
yeah.
you feel more
I
conscious,
think
like, yeah.
uh, that's a good question. I think my late mom, when I was
Mm,
growing up, she is very strict about kind of like having boyfriends, and she's always like, don't have a boyfriend when you're in school. Like you need to focus, and boys only create problems. If you want to be a smart person, you have to focus on your studies. But if you want to have a relationship, just wait until
mm-mm.
you actually are in college or university, because at that point you already hopefully are set in life, and you have a career, like
Yeah.
you're down on the right track. So I
Mm-mm.
kind of kept that advice closely to my heart,
Mm-mm.
especially after she passed away. So I held that close to me. And also, like I said, my friends, stories about, they've invested a lot in relationships, and the boys treat them like, at the
Yeah.
end, they took things for granted, and then they felt
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
all their efforts have gone to waste. So I didn't really want
Yeah.
to be that person. So I think those two are the main reasons why
Mm-mm.
I did.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
so true. I think
Mm.
because I don't want to talk so much about my past relationship, because obviously
Mm.
you're not supposed to talk so much about what you're wrongdoing,
But it
isn't it?
makes you the person you are, Mira.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like
yeah.
but I guess just to learn the lesson from, just drawing the lessons from this experience. Yes, that you are right. Like, because I think because we were in the same university, so we probably like remember
Yeah.
my own stories.
Oh, yeah.
I like
It's
that didn't
fine.
work out. Yeah. So yes, the heartbreak and the effort that you put in, the time that you put in into certain relationship, and in the end, it just didn't work out. It's tiring, and
It is. I can
yeah,
imagine. Yeah.
I think you're lucky to be the kind of person who are more have insight to learn from other people's experience. Because me, I was like the kind who like go for the experience, but
Adventurous, the
the
adventurous one.
adventurous one,
Yes.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
don't see any issue with that, either. I think like like you said, I'm just really lucky that this is the path that God's created for me. But on the other hand, because of my experience, in a way that I don't have any realistic expectation on what to, how do I carry myself in a relationship. I have
I
zero
see.
experience, exactly. So
Yeah,
like it's harder for us to navigate our relationship basically at the
yeah,
beginning, because
yeah.
I have totally unrealistic expectation on a
Was
man.
it? All right. Okay.
Yes. So, and at the end, I ended up getting hurt more.
I
And obviously
see.
he's affected as well. But
I
so
see.
yeah, I don't think one way is better than the other.
I
Obviously, there
see.
are good and bad in either,
Yeah, yeah.
both. So
Okay. So
yeah.
before we talk about like how you try to meet in the middle between, trying to make it work. So what was the fantasy like? What was
Oh God.
I will share mine
Why
after
don't
this.
you start? Why don't you start first, Amira?
Really?
Yes.
Because I think my relationship was my fantasy. The relationships that didn't work broke my fairy tales one at a time. So when I got to meet my husband, I have a somewhat realistic.
Exactly.
I still have expectations, but I have experience. I kind of
Yeah.
take notes, and I know like, okay, um, this didn't work. This is my weakness, and then I found that if a man do that, I cannot tolerate it. If I hear someone else talk about their own marriage, sometimes your cousins, time they talk about their marriage or struggles,
Yeah.
you just take notes. And
Mm.
so in my opinion, like at the time, it helps me put more like a realistic picture. Like I'm entering a marriage, it will be
Mm.
hard, it will be work, but then I'm willing to
Mm.
do the work. And it's not just about the, I don't know. I have no fantasy. I have no fantasy about
Wow,
I
that's
can't
really amazing. This is the thing. That's the difference between like my experience and your experience, because I never would I ever imagine that somebody like a girl especially wouldn't have any fantasy about going into marriage. I
No.
think because of what you've been through, I think that
Yeah,
makes
exactly.
so yeah, that's really good. I mean, I would say like I thought I was being realistic and in my expectation because of what I learned in the past. But actually
Mm-mm.
no, I know nothing before I got married. I guess what I would be fantasizing about is having someone to look after me,
Mm-mm.
to protect me. Obviously, you want to be loved and you
Mm-mm.
want to
Yeah.
give love, right?
Yeah.
um and I just thought I was under the impression of, yeah, a man will always be like gentle, and they can't be angry at me,
Mm-mm.
especially like there's a
Yeah.
certain talk to me. And
Yeah.
I think fair enough, you should set the bar at a certain, you need to have a certain threshold.
Mm-mm.
Like, you cannot go below that bar. If you go below that
Mm-mm.
bar, there are some red flags that obviously
Mm-mm.
big no, walk away. But what I fail to see is that I focus so much on what I want that
Mm-mm.
I didn't put much work into what I have to offer. Do you get what I
Mm-mm. Yeah.
mean? So yeah, I feel like those expectations had a toll on me when I when
Was
I
it too much, too high?
yeah, very high. Because
Unrealistic,
yeah,
you
go
think?
on.
Yeah. So when you put the expectation too high or a little bit like, drawn from romantic movies or
Oh yeah.
like dramas that you watch, you feel like, oh, shouldn't men be doing what these actors or, this um Disney characters should be doing? Like they should be gentle and, romantic and flowers and yeah. So because I had all that during pre-marriage, so, and then I realized that this still doesn't make me happy. And then it was
Mm,
just a show. And so I learned that
that's true.
I actually need more, not just flowers, not just presents, not just romantic words. And surprisingly, my husband is completely not he doesn't fulfill any of that, but he is realistic, he is hardworking.
What you need. Yeah,
Exactly what I need, because I think I'm a little bit of like deep thinker, so I like to think about future stuff like that.
that's really good.
Yeah, like, okay, when we got married, we already talk about, okay, if you have children, how are you going to raise our children? We're not even planning to have children yet. Like deep talks about like, okay, how are you like to as a father, you think, or how am I like as a mother? How, we talk things like that, and I don't know. It makes my relationship sound boring now. But I think
No,
no, it's not
no, no.
boring.
I mean,
It's
honestly, I don't think so. I think people should take note on this, especially those who are not married yet, who are, looking to into getting married. Drop all your expectation. Obviously, there are red flags that
yeah,
once you detected
yeah,
any red flags, say for example they are violent or they have issue with controlling anger and they're not willing to work on it. Like if you don't want to carry on, then it's up to you. I mean, probably
mm-mm,
shouldn't, but
yeah,
you should really talk about those things,
mm-mm,
like you just said, talk about how you're going to raise your kids, how many children do you want, career
mm-mm,
wise, who's
yeah,
going to do the sacrifice, are we going to both
mm-mm,
work, like those kind of things,
yeah,
because those things really matters down the line,
yeah,
when you're in
yeah.
in an actual marriage.
But I
Yeah.
do have to highlight, like, because I think the reason why I kind of like remove all the romanticism from my relationship is because of my own like bad experience in relationship. It's actually me bottling down my own like uh, my own emotional needs. So I always like brushing it off, but actually deep inside I actually want it. Like recently it was my birthday, although I keep saying, and I really don't need gifts, I don't need physical gifts. I don't need to go to like romantic dinner or whatnot. But what I didn't tell him is I kind of want you to be with me or spend time or just have a nice homemade dinner, you know, because I said that like I don't need that, I don't need that, I don't need that. He take it lightly. He's very like, okay, you don't need that.
That is
I'm
the thing. Oh my god, that
still a
summarizes what
girl.
mine is
I'm still a girl.
literally. Like they are so macam
Yeah.
instruction oriented, you know, like men are so black and white. Oh, she once said that she didn't
Oh,
like this, or she doesn't want this. That means that halas, that's it. Next, like no,
yeah.
man, there's different layers to
I'm
what I want, what
exactly.
I'm okay without, or you know, like it's okay if you don't want to do it. Like you just need to kind of peel it off, because women are not that simple.
Exactly.
Like honestly, like who wouldn't like flowers? Who wouldn't? I think
Exactly.
people who said that they don't never want flowers, I think they're lying. I mean, fine, they
Yeah.
don't want flowers, but I think the gesture, what I think what
Yeah.
women care about is actually the gesture of, you know, men doing things that make
Yeah.
you feel loved, for, you know,
Yeah.
like cared for. So
I think for yourself, you find that okay, you enter into marriage with all these like expectations and like there's romantic ideas about what marriage should be, while I enter it completely opposite, like completely removed from that. But then obviously it still comes with problem, isn't it? Like even though you
mhm.
come with like completely like, no, this is partnership, purely partnership business only, and for you it's like, oh, it's gonna be lovey dovey, it still has problems. It's not problem, it's like come with challenges, and
Challenges,
you
that's
still have
right, yeah.
to sort of overcome it. And what would be your
Mm.
number one tip? What is the thing that work and help you sort of
Oh
overcome?
yes. It took me a long time, to be honest, because I think we all walk, a woman especially, walk into a relationship, especially into marriage, thinking that, you know, like you put yourself up here. Let's face it, okay, we put ourselves up here, and our husband, yeah, we put them as a priority, but then you kind of put yourself quite high there, up there,
Hmm.
that sometimes you overlook the fact that you're actually not that great. You know, like stop trying to make everything, you know, like stop trying to mold people into your way of life, your
Yeah.
perception, your, you know, point
Yeah.
of views, because in a relationship that doesn't work anymore. Like it has to
Mm,
be you, your partner, one. So
exactly.
what, you know, I would say the best tip for me is, once you recognize that, gosh, this is not working anymore, my behavior, my personality, my character somehow is not working anymore. Like we, you know, if you
Mm,
find yourself, you know, spiraling down, like, you know, arguing over and over again,
mm,
you know, finding yourself being having a hard time to get
mm,
things across to your
yeah.
partner, that means there must be something that's not right. And you have to speak to your partner
Mm,
about it. Like, okay, what's the problem here? Why is it so hard for you to understand, of
mm,
listen to what I want to say? And then they will say things. And I'm telling you, you will not like what they're going to say. You're going to
exactly.
take that so personally, and they're going to be so
Yes.
defensive. That's very normal. Okay.
Yeah.
But what you need to do is, at your own time, when, you know, both of you are in a good state,
Mm,
you can just list down what they said about you, whether you agree or not. Okay, whether you agree or not, just
mm,
write it down and see what you can reflect on. Okay, am I really
mm,
like this? What does he like? What does he not like? You know, is it my
mm,
intonation when I talk? Is it the way I
mm,
talk? You know, so when you reflect on those things, it makes you realize that, okay, these are the things that I need to unlearn and relearn.
mm.
So
Yeah,
once you reach that point, then yeah, I think you're on the right track.
exactly. So
Yeah.
basically knowing your having that gaining that self-awareness again,
Yeah.
and trying to understand where he's coming from, where you're coming from. Obviously, like I think women like to be to be right all the time, but we are not
Yes.
right all the time.
I know. And we all have to learn it the hard way, you know.
Yeah,
And it's a process. You know, it's
yeah,
gonna be, you feel like you've overcome a hurdle and that's it. No, there's gonna be more hurdles, you know, and you're still gonna be, but yeah, the willingness, like you said, the self-awareness
mm,
and willingness to learn, relearn things.
mm,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's so important. What
yeah.
about you, Amira? What would be your most
I
kind of
I think number one for us that we need to continue work on is just always also the same thing that make us argue all the time. We don't argue a lot, but whenever we argue, it's often like big, uh, like a big explosion of like bottled down emotions. Because I think most of us
mm,
are like, I don't know if I'm an introvert, but I think I like to brush things off a bit. So that's my weakness. I like to like, it's
mm.
okay, it's okay, it's okay until it's not okay. And it's actually the same for him. Surprisingly, we are very, both of us are eldest sibling. firstborn in the family.
Ah.
So we are used to carry on a lot of like people's emotions on us. So we're used to like, okay, we will work it out, we will handle things. But I think when it comes to our own marriage, we can't do that. So I always point out to him that our problem is communication. Because
Mm.
I like to not say, and then I just like want to suck. I'm just like, you know what? I need to have a moment. Leave me alone. But then you cannot do that because once your me time over, the problem still exists. You
Yeah,
still need
that's
to like,
true.
let's talk about that.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, my husband kind of like, okay, we just want to move on from there. This is the next working day, and there's a lot of things going on. And then I think that's why whenever we explode big. And often boils down to we didn't communicate well enough. And
Oh,
for
that's
us,
so relatable. Very
yeah,
relatable.
yeah.
Yeah.
And especially we both of us, we don't know each other before marriage. We
Mm.
literally just like ha ha ha
Oh
ha
yeah,
lovey
that's
dovey for three
true.
months, and then we got married. And then so that means we need to work on our communication with each other. We even at one point in early stage of our marriage, because we find it really hard to, he's still a stranger in my life, you know.
Mm.
We find it hard to like, how do I tell this person that I really hate that the thing that he is doing without saying
Mm.
that I hate him. Like
Oh
um
my God, that's so again, that's so relatable and so true.
yeah,
I think you
yeah.
know what, because when the thing is, what I also learned in marriage, especially when you're arguing with your spouse, it's like the height in the height of the emotion,
Yeah.
people tend to do things that won't reflect who they are. So you
Mm,
also have to remember that, like sometimes again, from my own experience, I'm sure everyone can relate to, like when you're arguing, right? And then both of you are, say, I'm super like sulky, and then he super angry because, and obviously it's like a duck talking to a chicken. Like
yeah.
you just don't understand each other's language, and then and you end up getting frustrated, and then you get angry, and then it's just like like lots of monkeys in your head. So at that point, I think the best thing to do is try to de-escalate first, regardless of how much you think you are right or how much you think is so unfair. If you want to carry on, you will explode. You have to accept that
Mm,
you're going to explode, and you might do things that you will regret a lot later. The more kind of wiser thing to do is, regardless of how you feel, try to break that. Whoever the bigger person is, have to kind of recognize that state, like, hold on, this is not okay. Like, why are we talking in such a disrespectful way? It's really hard in the first 5-10 minutes, and then once you kind of more relax, you can talk it out, in
mm-mm.
just to avoid doing things that you will regret later. And that's why Rasulullah cakap,
Yeah,
Rasulullah said, when you're angry, do not
you
talk,
have to. Yeah,
right? So we have to
yeah.
take a
That's
moment,
that's true.
because things, bad things happen when,
Yeah.
yeah.
For us, from our experience, because imagine like two strangers being stuck in a relationship, being in the same
Mm,
house, and you're stuck in this contract that you have to work it out.
mm.
Um, in the beginning of our marriage, what we had to do was we have to write to each other's letter.
Oh
Because
my
like,
God, yeah.
right, like we cannot
Oh
talk.
my
If
God,
I
it's so
talk,
funny.
because I'm the one yang macam I'm akan like in the when before I can manage my own anger, I'm the one yang akan
Uh-huh.
explode. And then if I can't talk what I want to say, I will just cry, and it's just useless because when you cry, nothing comes out.
Oh, because you get overwhelmed. That's so,
Yeah. So what we
relatable.
did, like, okay, if you're angry, really angry, or like, when you think you can't say what you need to say to me, let's write it down. So we end up, sometimes we do that. I'm
That's a
so
good.
mad at, we just put like, I'm so mad at you. This is what I want to say to you without I'm saying being angry. And, because sometimes when you say things, you say it in the most
Harmful
sarcastic
way.
way. They can read it in whatever tone that they want. So like,
Yeah.
it's like, I'm so mad at you. This is what happened. This is how I feel. La 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 la. This is how we had to communicate with each other. But we're much better now. But yeah, 8 years down the line, it is hard work. eight
Oh
years of
gosh,
work.
yeah, that's true. A lot
Yeah,
of work,
a lot of work.
and
Yeah.
still in progress, right? So,
I just remembered this like passage from the Quran. He created for you spouses from among yourselves so that you may find comfort in them. And in the end, it's not just about winning a kind of argument. It's not about showing who is better than the other. It's about making the marriage work, isn't it?
That's true.
Like, yeah, try your hardest to find the middle ground. And it is
It's
hard.
easier said than done, right? It's easier
Exactly.
said
It
than
is.
done.
Yeah. And the heat of
Yeah.
the moment, you feel like, of course lah, aku yang betul.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah,
kan?
trust me, especially women. I have not met any woman who wouldn't agree with me. I mean, maybe there are, I'm sure there are,
Yeah.
but yeah, macam you just have to be right. And I think the way a woman's brain logic goes is like,
Mm.
if he doesn't agree with me, he doesn't love me, which is so messed up. But you know what? So that's why you get sulky. That's why you get like
Mm.
frustrated and sad when your husband, really want to like prove his point because
Mm.
not willing to let go, that means that that is more important than me. So that means you don't
Mm.
love me or you don't care about me, which is
Mm.
such a messed up way to think about something,
I
you
I
know?
always
So,
feel like extra guilty when I'm
yeah.
like, so like, you know what? I'm so mad. Like I said, let's just use my birthday as an example, okay? Because it just recently passed.
Mhm.
So basically, I spent the entire day talking on my birthday. The thing is, I told him like months before, you know what, I'm 30 something now. I want to move on with life, like not think of birthday as such a big deal. I just want to move on and have a nice family time. Not gifts, not nothing expensive. I think he took it as like she doesn't want celebration anymore. So, on my birthday, I spent the entire day like because
Oh my
it
God.
was it was on a Friday. Okay, Friday he's working half day, and then he has to go for Friday prayers. Fine, okay. And then turns out he had a badminton arranged the evening, but this is something that he has pre-arranged for weeks and weeks. It's always every Friday. You're not gonna cancel it. This is my birthday. That you really have to go play badminton. And then he just like, but this is I've been set up. Like, you know,
Oh gosh.
as you said, you don't want celebration. Like, so does it mean I don't deserve any
Yeah, I
time from
know.
you?
This is the thing. Oh my God. I think our husband will talk to each other and they're gonna relate about that so much. Like what do you
Yeah.
want? They always tell us one
The
thing and
thing
we want
is,
another thing.
the thing is, and then you still went on with the badminton because he already
Mm-hmm.
promised the guys. So when he came back, then we had the talk. I was so upset. I'm not happy that you went to work, you went for masjid. Fine, I agree with that. But then when I asked you, but do you really need to go for badminton? You don't want to sacrifice that for me, and it's like, but it's already arranged, and I actually thought that you want your me time because I know you've been sulking all day. It's like could have said that to me that
Oh
I'm
my
giving you.
God.
So basically, again,
Everybody, that just sums out what a man is. It's not just Emira's husband. Trust me, lots of men brain work like that. You don't assume that they know things. You don't assume that, oh, they're gonna be thoughtful and they're gonna no. But
yeah,
that doesn't mean he doesn't love you. That just
yeah,
means that
no,
that's what he understood. So he thought that he was executing the right thing. But
yeah, he
be
thought he's
far from
executing the
that.
right thing, but then he just doesn't communicate. But the thing is, when he said that, but don't you always like need your me time when you're upset? Like that is so true. But no, I'm still mad.
That's true, but you have to put in some effort too. I want to see some effort.
Really.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
So
I get it. It's
yeah,
yeah, but this is
in
the thing that
in
you
the
discover about yourself, right?
yeah. So in
Things
the end, it's
happen.
like there is that comfort, isn't it? Like that is like you created in pair. You are both human. We are pairs to find comfort. But then if you don't communicate that level of comfort, like what I
Yeah.
found, what is it that I like, and I told in the end, I just want you to at least say that to me. Like okay, after we come back from badminton, we'll go out for I don't know for some chai or something. At least we just told that instead of like just going off and like, then
Yeah.
they're
Like
just like,
pretending
oh,
the birthday didn't exist.
I thought you want me time. It's like, oh, you could have said what you think to me. So in the end, yeah. So for us, it's always that communication. It always an assumption.
I think that's a
Yeah.
very good point also. Like assumption. Don't ever make assumption about your partner.
Mm,
Because if you're not sure about it, then you have to ask. I mean,
okay.
the worst thing to do is make assumptions and get hurt because of your own assumptions when it's not even true. So
Yeah.
so yeah, you gotta itulah. I mean, I think you have to be brave in relationships. I think
Mm.
people, like, in a way, it teaches you to be resilient. I think that's why God says that, getting married is, you're completing half your deen. It doesn't
Mm.
mean that, your life purpose the purpose should be about getting married. It's not that.
Yeah,
It's actually what you learn about yourself when you get married. I feel like,
exactly.
what I learned about myself before I got married is just at the tip of the iceberg. Like, there's so much work that I had to
More.
do, like, just after that. So yeah, it's like
Yeah,
a slap in the face, and that's
yeah,
that's just how Allah
yeah,
mercy is. This
yeah,
is my test. So
yeah.
so
I grew up actually often hear that phrase like marriage is half of you. Getting married is half of your deen, but I didn't ever quite understand it, and people always like
mm,
feel so joyous about it. I was like, oh,
mm-hmm,
getting married, that's it. Getting your nikah, that's it. Your half of your
yeah,
deen completed. What I learned is actually you enter the marriage to be ready to fulfill half of the deen. You know,
exactly.
patience, communication, gentleness, loving each other, forgiveness, like all of the teaching of the deen is all in marriage. Doesn't mean
Hmm.
that you already completed it. That's when you are trying to practice it,
That's
trying to
right.
do marriage according to the deen, isn't it? And
Yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
but I'm
It's
not
it's
not trying to put off people from getting married. It's still
Oh yeah,
marriage
definitely
is
no.
still I think it makes you a better person, isn't it? I think
Yeah, that's the thing.
yeah.
And mashallah, it's very beautiful when you think about, your journey of
Mm,
relearning about yourself, what
yeah,
your goods and your bads. Allah is all amplified when you're in marriage.
yeah.
Um, so in a way, right, when you overcome like a big hurdle,
Mm-mm,
these things will bring you back to Allah. I think, especially as a
exactly.
Muslim, because when
Mm-mm,
you're like, I don't know, I think both of us are in a same situation. Like, both of us are living in the UK,
yeah,
away from our family. Our
yeah.
support system is each other, our family, and obviously our
Mm-mm,
friends. But we all live quite far from each other. And when
yeah,
you have a big argument with your husband, and you feel like the world is crashing down on you, and
yeah.
oh my God, like, why does he not get me? Like, why is he so mean? Why is he behaving like this? I can't get anything into his head. Like, God, please, like, how can I? So that's when you realize that you cannot depend on a human. You cannot put
Exactly,
your put dependency on someone. Like, yes, he's your husband, he's trying his
exactly.
best too, but
Yeah,
at the end of the day, all this hidayah, and what you want
yeah.
him to understand,
Mm,
God will give to him. Like, I will give
mm,
you an example. Basically, say me and my husband, we are very different yet very similar in a way that we are two very strongly opinionated people. Um,
mm,
so I find it really hard to get him to understand that, look, losing is winning. But he's the kind of person that, no, but if this is true, why would I say it's false? Like, he's that kind of person, so much like that. But I respect him for that, because he's very factual.
yeah.
So it takes him a long time to realize that. And then, I remember we had the arguments, and as usual couples do, and I was in a state
Mm,
of despair, like, and I just kind of like dua when I pray. Every time I pray, I dua, Ya Allah, please help me. If I need to fix myself, please, like, open my heart to fix myself. If he
mm,
needs to learn, then please give us the circumstances where he could learn as well. And then Allah introduces kind of to this friend, like family friend, who are very kind of laid back. And I
mm,
remember like meeting this family, and he's much older than us, and we just saw how, the way they roll. Like, this husband, he's very laid back. Like,
mm,
if his wife were to say something like mean in a joking way, he will not take it personally. He will just like, oh my God, fine, like, happy wife, happy life, whatever. My husband kind of looked at this person, and kind of start questioning himself, like, oh yeah, why am I so caught up into like wanting to win an
mm,
argument with my
yeah,
wife? Not because, yeah, right is right, wrong is wrong, but at the end of the day, it's about letting go that, kind of feeling tu kan. So, and
yeah,
then after that, I feel like he's much more like laid back and chill. If you just doa, God will open
mm,
ways for you.
yeah.
Especially, but just bear in mind, you have to be willing to do the work as well. It's not just a one
Exactly,
person. Uh,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of like giving the work for marriage, I think our both experiences it teaches us that the marriage itself is not just easy, happy being together. Sometimes Allah tests you about being apart. Like, you know how me and my husband we lived long distance while we were married with one kid. And also when we got the second child, also we had to do a bit of long distance as well. And it just made me realize that Allah will always test you.
Mm.
Foundation wise, we have a strong foundation, me and my husband. We're really happy together and we're willing to do the work. But
Mhm.
sometimes Allah add more work on top of that. Like, okay, I give you good career, beautiful children, all healthy, but I'm gonna test you in situation where, okay, what if he has to work away? What if his
Oh my
family is
goodness,
like far
Aemeyra.
apart?
Yeah.
That that's when it makes you realize, oh, actually, marriage is just not about finding the right spouse to love you and shower you with gifts. It's about overcoming all these like little hurdles together.
Mm.
Yeah, so being there for each other. Because sometimes you have to give, you have to take, and I think he has done his portion of give and take as well in his career.
Because you just talk about give and take. Like I just want to tell, like, I just want to share that um giving and taking in relationships are never 50-50, and it's never
Never,
synchronized, never symmetrical in in maybe in
never,
another parallel universe, but in the world that
no,
we're living in,
like,
it's give and take, in a way that, you
mm,
want to put your coin in that, jar as much as you can. We used to be fed by this understanding that in marriage is
it has to be 50-50.
50, pay the bills, I pay the
No,
bills, you look after the kid, and then, like, no, like
no,
if you're gonna live like that, you're gonna make your life so much harder for yourself. I
yeah,
honestly believe in the power of, like you said, communicating, and
mm-mm,
then giving as
yeah,
much as you can, and then your partner will eventually see that, they will appreciate that, and they will do more. So that's
exactly.
how it works, I think.
The way okay, because I'm a very visual person, the way I
Mm.
visualize this is like, I remember I put this a quote on one of our first few pictures together that we took, and I put it on my, now archived Instagram. So it's like I put there like happy marriage is, and this is very early, like I just have like that moment of um a realization that happy marriage is actually 100% plus 100%. So when
Yeah.
he is complete and he is satisfied, he is fulfilled in the inside and out. I am
Mm.
also satisfied inside and out. We are willing to give this marriage, this partnership, 100%, willing to do the work and also accept the work of others. Some because some people are working on themselves, their own weaknesses also. Is there anything else you want to add to what you think you can
Uh,
summarize?
we talk quite a lot, today. It might be quite heavy to some people, but I do believe that, God created us in twos, and your jodoh is somewhere out there.
Yeah.
To people, anyone out there yang rasa macam in despair because they haven't found
Mm-mm.
the right person, they haven't found the one yet, or people who's already been married and they got divorced, and then, or anyone who are going through a hard time, maintaining the marriage. I want to say to them, like, look, you're not alone. Before you feel like it's the end, just look within yourself and see if there's anything that you can fix,
Yeah.
and try to look for Allah, because
Mm-mm.
Allah says in, is it Surah Baqarah, that, if you call me, I'm literally at your jugular vein. So
Yeah.
if you want to seek to Allah, Allah is just right there. He's very close to you. And if you're in despair, the first thing you should do is seek guidance from Allah. And, maybe you haven't opened your heart. Maybe your partner's heart is not open. Whatever it is, like, please go back to Allah. And
Yeah.
I think that will be my message lah, because everyone knows that marriage is not easy, but
Mm.
inshallah, marriage has a lot to offer. Like,
Exactly.
if you're approaching
Yeah.
it the right way.
Like I think it's a quote or a hadith that is wonders is the fare of a believer, that when anything that is good for them and they say Alhamdulillah, even if bad, you know they also
Oh,
say
that's
Alhamdulillah
true.
as well. So in marriage it comes with good and bad, but it's always in
With
the end the affair of a believer is always good. if we want to look for like the best role model or best like example of marriage, our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and his wife Khadijah,
Yes,
the
yes, sister,
way
preach. Do not
see,
look at the K
yeah,
drama. That is not
no,
realistic. You can fantasize that
see,
yourself, but do not implicate your husband based
yeah,
on what you see on all these dramas and movies, because
yeah,
they're all just made up things. Because those are not real. Okay, I think the
see,
baby.
dah cry. Okay lah.
That's
I think
right.
that's it. We can continue again next time and see
Yes, see you
what's
guys
next.
again next time, inshallah.
Inshallah.